Can you tell us a bit about your channeling for those who might be here who don't know or have not followed your channel? That you are. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had the 3.5 weeks of ecstasy. I did the writing workshop, and the first thing I wrote was Ananda, Ananda, Ananda. So I was meditating, and we had a pen and a candle, and you just focused meditating. It started to write, it looked like scribbles at first, like, fake handwriting, like when you're a kid. And then this word showed up, Ananda, Ananda, Ananda. And that's all I wrote for pages and 2 or 3 pages. I just wrote Ananda. So at the end of that, everyone, because that was the beginning of the channeling, really, was the Ananda, right? We gathered around, and I said, "What does Ananda mean?" And I knew it was like Yogananda. All of the teachers from the East have Ananda in their name, right? And someone said, "Oh, that was Buddha's favorite student was Ananda." So I was like, "Okay," didn't really, And then it came to light that it means bliss. Ananda is a state of consciousness that is bliss. And so, okay, I've been in bliss for 3.5 weeks. This makes sense that whoever's coming through is using that word. And then that night, I had the feeling someone wants to say something. Don't ask me how I know that. I had the feeling someone wants to say something. So everyone went to bed. And I sat at the kitchen counter and I started automatic writing again. And the writing came through. We are Ananda. We are your guides and teachers. You were a goat herder in Jesus' time. And you would follow him with your goats. And you would sit around the fire at night. And he would teach you. I did not know when they first made contact that I would be channeling him a year later. They said that if I'd found out, then I wouldn't have done it. It would have been too much. So the first year of channeling with Ananda was in preparation for me to channel Jesus, which is understandable, right? Even when he came through, I wasn't really happy about it. But that's how they introduced the idea of my relationship with him, that I had been alive in his incarnation and had followed him. And they said that when you read the course, you recognized his teachings because I had been a student of his in another incarnation. So what happened was the channeling started with automatic writing. Then they started typing on my laptop. And about 3 months in, they said, "We're going to prepare you to speak for us." Now, during that 3 months of summer, so I think they came through June 21st, 2012. Once they made contact and once I realized that I was channeling, I was completely open to it, very excited about it. I had no fear, no resistance. Again, I've been doing the course for 12 years, so I know my frequency is high. I know that I have let go of so many hateful aspects of myself. So I surrendered to it completely. There was no resistance, no fear, nothing. So every day I would lay down on my bed in the apartment that I was in when they came through, and I would give them permission. And this is what they said to me. They said, "We are reintegrating the matrix of your body, and we're reconnecting everything that's been disconnected. Do you give us permission to continue?" So that's a very interesting way of wording it, I think. We're reintegrating the matrix of your body, and we're reconnecting everything that's been disconnected. And so for an hour every day at lunchtime, I would lay down on the bed and they would do energy work on me, upgrading, doing whatever this reintegration of matrix was. So my hands would be doing all kinds of energy work. I wasn't moving them. Spirit was guiding that. And so for 3 months, I did an hour a day of them upgrading my body, whatever this reintegration thing was. And then in October, they said, "We're going to prepare you to speak for us." And so one day I laid down for these energy sessions at lunchtime, and the throat chakra was super energized, and they began to speak. And the first thing they gave a lecture on unconditional love was the first thing they did. And so I would practice. Once they started to speak, and this was Ananda. Now, Ananda is a group consciousness of different we would say ascended master teachers, extraterrestrials, all kinds of different beings, and they say their purpose is to help us in our ascension process. But they're my guides and teachers personally. Then I was still in a very high state of oneness all of the time. I've never claimed to be enlightened, but this experience of them, we'll say, occupying my consciousness, I would go out for a walk and I would be one with the flowers, and I would be one with the waves and one with the wind. I was having these incredible oneness experiences. And I would walk along the beach and they would just talk and talk and talk, and they would channel about the wind and light and physics and all kinds of things. As soon as they had started typing, they started typing the first book, which is called Making Love to God, which is about sexuality and sexual energy. And I think I'm up to eight books now. And they said the reason that they tackled that book first was they said it's the most powerful energy we have to deal with as humans, and it's the most distorted on our planet. So Making Love to God is the first book. I was not happy about the subject matter. I was like, can't you just pick an easier subject than sexuality? Little did I know that the next few books would be more difficult. But so the first book was about sexuality and sexual energy. And I'll just talk about the second book, because that's pivotal in the story of channeling Jesus. The second book is called Great Minds Speak to You. And I channeled 20 dead celebrities. You would know most of them. And that book came through in 1 month. So at 5 o'clock every morning, I would get up and I would channel. I didn't know who I was going to be channeling. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a drink here. And very famous people, Michael Jackson, Marilyn Monroe. It's a very interesting book. And they channeled about their life and their incarnation and what they wanted us to know about their life and incarnation and what they learned. So very interesting to listen to these people. At about they said there would be 20 channels. And about number 15, I started saying to myself, I wonder who's number 20 is going to be, because these were such famous people. So my voice would change. When I channeled Margaret Thatcher, I sounded just like her. At number 15, I was like, I wonder who number 20 is going to be. Is it going to be Elvis or Gandhi or someone? And then I just started saying, just don't be Jesus. So for the last 5 people, I just kept saying, just don't be Jesus. So obviously something in me kind of figured out that that's who it would be. And sure enough, number 20 was Jesus. And he came through and he said Jesus-y things like praying for your enemies and about teaching about forgiveness. And at the end of it, I thought, okay, well, that's over. That's awesome. Okay, that wasn't that bad. And then the next morning he came through again and he said, I want you to write my autobiography for me. But first you have to read the New Testament. And that was how he came through and how he introduced himself. And I was not happy about this whole prospect of channeling Jesus, as you can imagine. It's kind of a big psychological journey to open up to doing this. But my suicide attempt when I was a young woman made me, he said, I want you to think about this. I want you to take a day to think about this before you say yes or no. So he's saying this. So I'm channeling him saying this. I'm listening to the recording of what he's saying, although I sit in the background, I can hear what he's saying. And I thought about it for a couple of hours and I thought, you know what? I'm lucky to be alive. I never wanted a boring life anyway. It was always my biggest fear that I would have a boring life. It really has been my whole life. I've always wanted to have an interesting life, and I've tried to make sure I have an interesting life. And boy, did this make it interesting. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And so I had to read the New Testament first. And he said the reason I had to read the New Testament, which I hadn't read, maybe I read it when I was younger. I don't think so. I'd probably read passages here and there. And he said, it's because I want you to know what people believe. You have to understand what people believe about me. but also you need a structure upon which I can hang the story I'm going to tell you. So he was going to tell me the story of his birth and his life. And so he wanted to have, he said that it's like coat hooks. He said, you have to be able to hang the story on something. So that's what I did. I read the New Testament, and in 40 channeling sessions, he channeled the book called Jesus, My Autobiography, which is now in 10 languages around the world. It's making its way around the world. It's even in Chinese. It's gone to China.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've had nothing to do with the translations. Spirit has been working with people around the world to inspire them to translate the book and publish it. So that's how it started. And I didn't tell anyone what was happening for a while.